Bullshit.
Change is constant. Embrace it. It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, the world's only no bullshit marketing firm. Quote, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. End quote. George Bernard Shaw. As human beings, we have the innate tendency to resist change. Why? Because it can be scary. It can seemingly knock us off our path, and it's inevitable. If there's anything in life that remains constant, it's change. You've heard it 100 times, maybe 1,000. And it's how we respond to change that determines our success. Change has and will continue to be a catalyst for growth, and this is especially true in the business world, the entrepreneurial world. I know I've been there plenty of times, and I'm sure you can agree. It feels like as soon as we get comfortable with something and hit our stride, the carpet is pulled out from underneath us, and we have to rewire our systems to accommodate and adapt to that change. While change forces us to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, it doesn't and shouldn't always have a negative connotation. Rather than resisting change, I'm challenging you to flip your perspective on its head and embrace it instead. Become inspired by the opportunities that change brings. Be flexible and open to new approaches and use technology to improve efficiency. Here are 3 tips to get you started at being comfortable with being uncomfortable. First, remind yourself that change is good. Rather than immediately seeing it as something that's throwing a wrench in your plans, take that deep breath. Literally, the meditation teaches about breathing. Breathe and think and ponder. Switch up your mindset so you can view change as something positive. Life is a chain reaction, and realizing that change is what has gotten us to this point in our lives will help reframe your perspective. Think about that for a minute. Change is why you are happy today at the things you're happy about. They aren't what you were doing a year ago and 5 years ago and 10 years ago. Change is what got you to where you are. Number 2, learn to accept uncertainty. With change comes feelings of uneasiness and uncertainty. It's a natural reaction to be nervous. However, accepting uncertainty is a stepping stone for embracing change. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight, nor is it something that any of us manages 100% of the time. I'm not trying to give you this pithy nonsense that some bloggers and podcasters say about things being easy and how you can live your passion, live your dream, and all that crap. I'm saying learn to accept uncertainty as much as you can, getting better at it each time. It's never going to be completely easy. There will be no complete knocking it out and not being rattled by it. But accept that it's a stepping stone for embracing change. When I was in the corporate world, I was running into, I didn't even realize it, the first couple of jobs that I did were turnarounds. And I had these tremendous opportunities that it was exhilarating. I would come in and begin to offer my ideas and try to lead and manage. Those are 2 different things. I would try to lead and manage, inspire. I'd try to reach, influence, and engage others. And I had success. First position, I had success doing a major turnaround with a number of other people. It was a huge team of people that made this impact. But that was my first position. So imagine, I'm used to thinking, wow, this is commonplace. Well, some people go their entire life not having a position where they could be energized every day. I had that from the beginning. But after a couple of years of it, I started realizing that people began to fight back and push even harder because we got through the first wave. So one of the things that I had to learn about dealing with uncertainty was the first wave of uncertainty, when things were really bad, that was actually when I was able to make the most change. I was able to make the biggest impact. I was able to be energized the most. Why? Because there weren't other alternatives. The one place was ranked 13th and 14th out of 14 radio stations and was losing $500,000. The roof was leaking. Another place had 6 days cash on hand and had 1,200 some employees that we weren't even sure we were going to be able to make payroll. That type of initial uncertainty, people were willing to allow me to advocate for change and to reach, influence, and engage. But then I ran into, after a couple of years, people were frustrated because I was still pushing change. So that led to me being uncomfortable with uncertainty and trying to figure out why people who loved what I had done prior were now fighting me and pushing back and shooting at me from the grassy knoll, to use a cliche. And that's when I had to realize it took me a number of stints like that. It took me 3 or 4 until I realized I need to do this on my own so I can continually be coming in and fixing things and bringing the change. That's what I needed for me. But making the leap from corporate America and the certainty, the security was huge for me. So I'm telling you this from personal experience, that learning to accept uncertainty takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of pain, anguish, soul searching. So I'm not one of those people that just says, you can do this, and I post videos of me telling you that you can live your best life. And it's hard work. It's hard work. So when you go and try to accept uncertainty, it takes a conscious effort of you saying, I'm going to accept uncertainty. You have to write it down. And I know many people today don't write things down. That's a mistake. It's part of your mental process, scientifically proven that writing things down helps with retention. So I would say, if you don't want to write on a pen and paper because you just don't do that, or you hate that, or you think it's environmentally bad or whatever, then get an Apple Pencil or something and write stuff down. Again, it's not the same when you don't. Number 3 is face your fears. Whether we want to admit it or not, as kids, we all probably believed that at one point or another there was a monster under a bed or something like that, or a light, and wanted the light on or something. Though we never saw that monster, we let our minds wander and take us to a place that made things worse than they actually were. This same idea applies to fear and change. The more we fuel them, the harder it becomes to overcome them. Avoidance is not a strategy. Avoidance is an action, though. Avoidance of a problem is an action. It's not a strategy, and it doesn't help. So there's no denying that fear is a big obstacle. But the first step in moving past it is realizing that we have the power to control our mindset, to face our fears head on and embrace the possibilities that change has to offer. There's a big key here that I say. I have a phrase: ambiguity breeds mediocrity. When we are subconsciously avoiding a problem, when we're subconsciously avoiding a confrontation with somebody who is giving us stress, it creates ambiguity. And the more ambiguity there is, it breeds mediocrity or worse. But embracing the possibilities that change has to offer, while uncomfortable, reduces ambiguity. You at least know where you stand, and you can build a plan around it. Change is synonymous with growth, and when you commit to letting go of the past and embracing the unknown, you'll realize the untapped potential that's been living inside of you all this time. Remember, great things never came from our comfort zone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the No BS Marketing Show, recorded from our studios in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.